Thank you, Kelly. And as Kelly mentioned, this is recorded. So if you have to leave early or you want to share it with others after the event, we will send you the email with the follow-up recording link. So my name is Doug Pulaski. I'm Director of Sales and Marketing here at K-Rise Systems. We're a company located in Aurora, Illinois, and we've been focused on the JDE marketplace for 17 years. We've worked with over 100 JDE companies, producing hundreds of what I call value-add applications. And how we create them is what's different from us, say, a Java or a .NET or a C# deliverable shop. We are a low-code platform company. We've been that way since the beginning. So everything we create is based on our low code that companies can learn, and many of them do. Or we can deliver, say, if you have lean IT resources. So we're focusing on orchestration integration. It's been a trend, obviously, since Orchestrator and form enhancements have been offered in the tools of JDE. And what I am going to do is just go through a few slides and kind of set the stage, and Ben's going to do a demo. So with that, let me discuss the agenda. So Ben's going to show platform integration with orchestrations. And by the way, it's just one of the ways that we can integrate. I got another slide on, just how integrated we are with JDE. And a little bit about us is, like I mentioned, we've been around for 17 years. We work, if you look at the bottom, with large companies in the JDE space, and of course, the many small to mid-sized businesses. Here's just an example of some of the companies that these are all JD Edwards we've worked with over the years. And we produce deliverables across the business horizon. So not just on the commerce side, with, say, e-commerce and payments, but we do a lot on what I call the spend, the procurement, the procure to pay side, with everything from a requisitioning, stock, non-stock, punch out items. We like showing like integration Amazon Business. We do a lot of portals. We work against inventory, doing field service. We did a recent project with work order automation at Michelman. That was orchestration related. I'm going to touch on that. We can work in the HR area too. We have the compliances with JDE. You need to both be OVI certified 32 and 64-bit. We are. We have, because we're a payments company too, we have the PCI compliance. Bottom right, we have the CPA security control certification with SOC 2 Type 2. So we cross the T's on all of the main areas. And a good way to describe how we work with our clients is by showing some Oracle slides. These are slides that Oracle uses, notice on the very bottom, before modifying JDE. Consider other options first, and the other options, if you look at the top, is a low code working against orchestrations, or if you're not on 9.2 and or you want to consider a different approach, we can use interoperability and work against the XML call object to call business functions. This is just Gartner touting low code as a way to go with creating apps very quickly. And this is the last slide I want to show. It touches on, if you look at the bottom, it touches on the many ways that we integrate with JD Edwards, segueing from the last comment: business functions, Z files, UDCs, all the obviously status codes, media objects. So that's our differentiation in the low code platform space. Gartner touts Appian, OutSystems, Mendex. We're like that. In fact, Ben will show you that. It's just that we focus on JDE. We're JDE integration experts, and it's pre-integrated against JD Edwards. So with that, I am going to, let me do this. Let me show you real quick, and Ben's going to get into this. But if you look at our low code platform, and let me actually go into the demo IDE app. So this is a picture of our IDE, which is 100% web. It works in Chrome. We're using AWS as the way to deliver the updates. And on that point, if you notice the updates, we've got design time, revision updates, runtime, ECC. We did away, actually, we could still use VPN for integration, but ECC eliminates the necessity of opening up a port, which is a security issue. So if I go into the runtime revision here, you can see there is orchestration, recommended values.
It's right there, Doug. Orchestration and IDE. Little
Orchest
low.
Oh, there it is. Orchestration and IDE. And Suman, you might explain this real quick in terms of we're like Amazon. We're constantly updating the platform. It's a SaaS architecture, and touch on what I'm looking at right here, because this is centric to the agenda today, right?
Absolutely. So what you are looking at is what we are demoing today. We recently added these features, as you see, uh, for orchestration, and something that Ben will show. So I don't want to explain what is added. The idea here to show how revisions are applied in our cloud platforms and become available across the board. So as a tenant of our platform, you are constantly upgraded and getting these new features as we are adding. And Doug, if you can click out of it, you can see all those different revisions that's being added. And if you go all the way to the top and click on that icon for the forum, it's right there on the top.
Right.
And at the forum, if you go to the product announcements, again, we announce all the product announcements. You can go through it. Of course, this is the one we are talking about, but not just this one. Every week we have revisions, sometimes bug fixes we apply to the platform. And being the cloud, you don't have to do anything to upgrade. Every time you are on the latest version, you are not in the risk of running a software that is now 4 years out of the date.
All right. Yeah, that's a good way. Before I turn it over to Ben, to me, as a salesperson, a sign of a successful software deliverable company is successful case studies. So what I say as a salesman shouldn't come even close to hearing it from your peers. And I am just so happy. As an example, a couple of weeks ago, our client Michaelman delivered a great presentation for the In Focus, Trisha and Jacob. And if we look at the and this is a digital work order. They went paperless. And you can see here the way they deployed our application for them, because it's work order automation. They're a process manufacturer. It's Zebra tablets with barcoding. And by the way, barcoding and then OCR too. That's very important. They had thousands of as an example, safety material specs and that they needed to digitize. And we use Amazon TextTract. This is their dashboard. They reviewed it, but you can see from a client perspective, the power of the orchestration, streamlining processes. I'm not going to read this to you, but you can see what Trisha is saying about why they went with orchestration integration, form extensions, streamlining the processes. It's not just US, they're a global company with Singapore and other global locations. Languages, we utilize a Google Translate AI for languages. We always go with standards based on cloud native technology. Another example from Blueprint was this right here. And this is Orchestrations. It's a company called PrintPack in Atlanta. Relatively large company, and we did both customer and vendor portal projects with them. PrintPack presented this, but you can see they're going through the JDE touch points, and they talk about the orchestrations on the customer portal. I'm not going to read this. You can see it yourself. I'm going to be sending this, but they reviewed in detail the orchestration integrations like canceling order, copy item, update order, and this is a key one here, the reasons for using it. You see the take advantage, the third bullet item, take advantage of our custom logic. When we were working with the sales campaign, they wanted to make sure we can work against their very customized JDE deliverable. So, then this is talking about, they're actually, we created with this project a package, a guided selling front end package builder. So this item, they're actually going through the questions and answers, and they're actually creating a new item master. Obviously, the customers are uploading their images and that, Coca-Cola and companies like that, in terms of the packaging. So it's a unique item. And so we do actually item create as part of the process. Also, vendor portal, same thing with their vendor portal. And this is vendor onboarding using various orchestrations. So with that, I'm going to stop. And Ben, if you could share.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so my name is Ben Tyrell. I'm a developer here at KRise. I'm going to be showing some of the orchestration integrations that we have in our development environment. So I'm in that same demo IDE that Doug was in earlier, and this is where I'm going to show the integrations. So down at the bottom here, we have this JD Edwards menu, and we have this orchestrations page here. So here I can select a connection instance, and then it shows up with an orchestration menu, and this will be populated by all of the orchestrations that are available. It queries your JDE and it displays them here. So I'm going to select this first address book inquiry. It also queries your JDE to figure out what are the inputs for this orchestration. So we have these 3 items here. I'm just going to type in an address number here and click run. And then we get the output back from the orchestration here. We can also do an address book update, which is this orchestration here. It pulls in the input, and I'm going to edit that address number 500, and I'll show you what that looks like in JDE currently. So this is what it looks like. It's a gas station. If we go to address book revision and the mailing address, it's on Busy Road in Houston, Texas. And so I can edit this a little bit. So we can say webinar gas station. We'll say 123 Fake Road. Put it in Aurora, Illinois, and we'll just type in a random postcode here. If we click run, you can see the address has been updated successfully from the output. So if I go back into JDE and refresh the list, we can see it updated that alpha name. And if we go inside the address book revisions and the mailing, we can see our address updates as well. So this is just a tester in the IDE, but we can also use this in our applications in runtime. So I'm going to go to the workbench, and I'm going to go inside this project. So this is where you would start development as a developer on our platform. And I'm going to go inside this orchestration demo method. And this will open up what we call the logic canvas, which is essentially a start and terminate node. And we have a list of services on the left here, which we can drag and drop onto the canvas here. So I'm going to search for an orchestration service. So we have a few of them here. I'm going to grab just this orchestration service and call orchestration. And we'll just connect it up here. And if we go inside of the service, we have some parameters to fill out. So same as the tester, we have our connection instance. We have the name of our orchestration, which if we go over to the left, we can search for it here. So if we just search address, it pulls up all of those with address in the name. And then we have content. So here we can drag the input from the left. And so it'll automatically show up here. And then same as before, we can type in some address number. And then up at the top, we can test the service and run it. So I called the orchestration and we got back a response, which was the alpha name. the webinar gas station that we just updated. And so this is how you would call an orchestration in your application. So I'm going to show a real example of updating a page and adding this orchestration in. So I'm going to log into this demo IDE application. And this is what it's going to look like to the end user. Under this MVC menu, I'm going to open up this quick order page. And just to give you an idea of what it looks like now, we have, this is essentially a page to create a sales order in JDE. So we have some header information here, build to, ship to, branch plant, each have some lookups here, which you can search through, which it queries JDE, and you can search through them and pull back your address book number. Down here, we have a grid of item numbers and quantity. And when I type something in here and a quantity, it goes into JDE and fetches the description, unit price, and then calculates the total price based on the quantity that you have typed in. So the changes that I want to make to this page are, for one, when we click on the submit button, we want to call an orchestration to create the sales order. And secondly, we want to add some additions to this grid here to, when I click on the item number checkbox at the quantity checkbox and there's no row underneath, I want to add a row. And we're going to add some custom JavaScript to do that. And then over to the left, we're also going to add some custom JavaScript to delete rows as well. So I'm going to do that here, which is this quick order orchestration page. So I'll open this up, and this is our UI canvas. This is how you would create web pages in our designer. So you can see how these relate to the actual screen. We have build to, ship to, branch plant up here. We have our item grid here and the submit button at the bottom. So I'll add that custom JavaScript first. So in the item number, we have this lightning bolt icon, which is, if we open this up, it gives us all of the events that are happening on this text box. So we have two events, a change and a left icon click. So on change is where we're calling the update row to update the description, unit price, and so on, which calls JDE. And then we have a left icon click, which opens up that item lookup window. So I want to add a new event, and we'll call it, or it's going to be a focus event. So once we focus on the text box, we want to invoke some JavaScript. And I have some pre-built JavaScript here that simply adds a new row to that list. So we'll save it, and we'll do the same for the quantity text box. On focus, add JavaScript. And then lastly, we have this delete button over here, so we can add an event to this as well. So essentially on click of the delete button, we want to do some JavaScript that will delete the row. And so that adds those events to the text boxes and that delete button. So I can show that off real quick. So if I give this page a refresh and we click on the item number text box, you can see that row automatically populated underneath. So if you can imagine, I can go through and just start typing in item numbers and quantities, and it'll automatically give me that next row when I'm ready for it. We can also delete rows as well, so we can do that. So the next step is adding the orchestration to the submit button, which I can go over here to the controllers, and we'll have to go inside the logic for the submit controller. And this will open up a logic canvas, which has a single service here already. So in here, we want to call that orchestration service. So I'll pull up that same service that we had before. Call it create sales order and connect that to the start node here. And here we want to define the name of the orchestration, which in this case, we'll type in P4210, and we have this orchestration here that does what we want. And we'll pull in the input from here as well, and that'll be right here. And all we have to do now is fill out these parameters. which are going to come from the controller parameters up here, which are essentially what's coming from our page. So I'll bring in our build to, our ship to, our branch plant, and it'll automatically populate these dynamically. And then for the items, we have to loop on our list of items. So I could do that by clicking on the item number, select comma separated, and this will create a loop for us. So we'll wrap this section in the loop, and we'll put the item number here, and we can put our quantity here. And so this will just loop through the items and dynamically put in the item number and quantity. And so that's how you would call the orchestration. So that'll call the orchestration, and then we want to alert the user that a sales order was created. So I can use an alert service. And we'll connect that up right after the orchestration. And we can just send in some message here. So I'll say sales order number, and then we can go inside our create sales order orchestration over to the left here. And it also queries JDE to figure out what would be the output of the orchestrations. So we have these three output items here, which if I select the previous order, that'll give us the order number that was created. And so that'll dynamically put it in the alert that we're sending to the user. Okay, and then lastly, we want to refresh the list so they can submit a new order right away. So I'm just going to call the sub method, which will refresh the list items. I'm just going to send in a blank item. So we have that first blank line. And then we want to output the items from this sub method. And then down here in the update element, this just means we're going to update something on the page. So I can go over to the left here and update our items list. And so that's all we need to do here. We call the orchestration, we alert the user that a sales order is created, and then we refresh the list using these two services. And so if I refresh this page, we can start filling out our parameters. So for the build to, choose 4242. For the ship to, we'll do the same thing. And then for the branch plant, we want M30 here. And then we can start typing in our item numbers. So we can use the lookup here that we have. We want item 210. Let's say quantity 6, 220 of quantity 12. And then we can delete this last row and submit from here. And so that called the orchestration, and it created the sales order. We have our sales order number here. And when we click OK, that list refreshes like we expect it to. So we can show that orchestration call using the log viewer. So I'll go ahead and do that. Go into the work data. And we have our create sales order here, which will give us the entire response of the orchestration. Which we used part of this to display the message to the user. All right, and we can also show this in JDE as well. So go to P4210, and we can search on that order number that we just submitted. And we can see it here. We can see both the items that we submitted, the quantities, the amounts, it's all here. And so, yeah, that's a small demo of the orchestration features we have.
Ben, we do have some questions. I would like to. You're done with your demo, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and I must say, it was a very quick demo, quicker than we were expecting. Just proves that orchestrations are much easier to use. I've been using JD Edwards order creation, say, business functions for probably 22, 23 years now. I can never call 3-4 business functions so quickly. So it kind of proves that it's much easier to use. Nothing against business function. I still love business functions, but orchestration seems to be the future. A question that's coming in, Ben, is in the item number lookup, can we add also a description to search? Do you have that already, or is this something if we have to do, how it will be done? Not the branch plan, not the build to, sorry, the item number lookup.
Oh, the item number. Yeah. Yeah. So the description is added here,
Oh.
but you could also filter by the description as well.
Oh, you
so
have.
that's
Can
an
you at
option
least
as well.
show how that works behind the scene? How you make the decision between, you know, whether to search for item number or by or
Yeah. Let me pull up that widget.
yeah, so that you know it's a widget, you know. So we have reusable widgets that you can use across the app.
Yep. And so here's the widget here. This is just showing the list of items. So if I go into the items list, this will pull up the logic that actually goes into JDE. And so we have our items inquire. And this is an inquire service. So we just fill out the connection instance, what we're connecting to, the table names that we're querying. Then we have the where clause. So
Yes.
essentially,
Yeah, so right now you see that we already have actually description and description to search. If you add more, you just can do your own or it's a very, very user-friendly, I would say, tool to create, you know, where conditions, and you know, that's how this was done.
But we should add that if they wanted separate filters for text description and number for part numbers, you could do it that way too. We could easily change it.
Yes, it's 100%. Yes, it's just like everything else in the platform.
And Suman, we've been referencing MVC. Can we? And I don't know. I think you said you have other questions, but just high level MVC. Can you describe that?
Yeah, I will go back to Canvas, Ben, so that I can use this Canvas itself. It's you know, I probably have a minute. We use MVC as our baseline for architecture, to show you everything that you are seeing in terms of user interface. So you see the view. This is the view in the middle. The model you see on the left, there's a that's where design, and then all the controllers you design. So it's textbooks MVC design. If you have developers who knows MVC, or if you just want to care to Google MVC, you'll quickly learn it, and you'll find that concept so easily applicable here that you can carry over that knowledge into our platform. That should do it, Doug.
Yeah, and one last comment. MVC helps us deliver beautiful GUIs, creating a UI UX experience. So marketing can definitely work with this from their, you know, CSS, JavaScript, HTML perspective, and the MVC enables that vision, the web page vision for
it separates the view from logic very, very nicely, and also you saw it lets you embed JavaScript, so you can have full control over user experience. JavaScript can give you a lot of control, like Ben showed, with a click to add rows, click to delete rows, on click, all those events makes your UI much more responsive, much more user friendly.
Suman, did you say there were additional questions?
No, that is it, Doug, and we are also on the time. So
yeah, that's exactly 30 minutes. I want to thank everybody. We're doing more of these 30-minute webinars. We realize your time is valuable. We'll send a follow-up. We'd love to engage in discussion on any custom, or we have pre-built app that'll all be explained in the follow-up email. Thank you very much again for making the decision to attend this K-Rise webinar. We very much appreciate it. Have a great rest of the day. Bye now.